Ladies and gentlemen, in the modern world, success has become a powerful idol. We measure ourselves by titles, wealth, and recognition. We climb ladders that promise happiness at the top, only to discover that the climb itself has cost us something far greater: our authenticity. Carl Jung often warned that the greatest tragedy of life is not failure, but success achieved at the expense of one's soul. For what use is it to gain the world if in the process you lose your true self? To succeed without losing yourself, you must first know who you are. True success is not merely outer achievement, but the alignment of your outer life with your inner truth. It is not about conforming to the expectations of others, but about living a life that resonates with your deepest values, your unique individuality, what Jung called the process of individuation. The world will always try to shape you, to tell you who you should be, to lure you into masks of acceptance. But if you live only for those masks, if you identify with the persona you wear in society, you risk forgetting the one behind it. Real success comes not from perfecting the mask, but from reconciling with the soul that wears it. This journey requires courage, because it means confronting the shadow, the hidden parts of yourself you would rather deny. Yet Jung taught us that wholeness is not achieved by denying the shadow, but by integrating it. To be whole, to be authentic, is to embrace both your light and your darkness, your strength and your vulnerability. Only then can you succeed without losing your humanity. So I say to you, do not chase success as the world defines it. Seek instead the deeper success of becoming fully yourself. For in the end, the highest achievement is not what you build in the world, but the person you become within it. True success begins with self-knowledge. This is a principle Carl Jung returned to again and again, for he understood that no matter how far we climb in the external world, if we are strangers to ourselves, our accomplishments will ring hollow. Modern culture often tells us that success means accumulation of wealth, recognition, or status. Yet countless people achieve these things only to feel an emptiness inside. Why? Because they pursued goals that were never truly theirs. They climbed mountains only to find that the summit did not belong to them. Self-knowledge is the foundation upon which real success must be built. To know yourself is not simply to know your likes and dislikes, or your talents and weaknesses. It is to encounter the depths of your being, the motives, the fears, the shadowed corners of the psyche you often avoid. Jung believed that until we face these inner realities, we live a half-life, guided more by unconscious forces than by conscious choice. Without self-knowledge, we risk being carried along by collective values, chasing what society praises, rather than what our soul truly seeks. This lack of self-awareness explains why so many outwardly successful individuals feel inwardly fractured. They may have achieved the life their family expected or society admired, but deep down they feel alienated, as though they betrayed something essential. They mistook the mask, the persona, for their true identity. Jung taught that the persona is necessary. We all wear roles to function in society. But if we identify too strongly with the mask, we lose touch with the authentic self beneath it. Real success cannot come from perfecting the mask. It must come from discovering the one who wears it. The path to self-knowledge requires courage because it asks us to confront what we would rather hide. It means turning inward and listening to the quiet voice that is often drowned out by external demands. It means asking difficult questions. What do I truly value? What gives me meaning? Am I pursuing this goal because it is mine, or because it was handed to me by others? The answers may unsettle us, but they also free us. For once we see ourselves clearly, we can live in alignment with who we are, rather than with who others want us to be. Jung described this journey towards self-knowledge as individuation, the process of becoming whole, of integrating all aspects of ourselves into a unified being. This is not a one-time event but a lifelong unfolding, and it is only in this process that true success can be found, because then our achievements reflect not imitation but authenticity. A life lived in imitation may look impressive, but it is hollow. A life lived in authenticity may or may not bring fame, but it brings something far greater, meaning. So if you wish to succeed without losing yourself, begin here. Begin with the task of knowing who you are beneath the noise of the world. For without self-knowledge, every victory will feel incomplete. With it, even the smallest step forward will carry the weight of truth. Beware of the persona. Carl Jung used this word to describe the social mask each of us wears in order to function in the world. The persona is not inherently false, it is necessary. We need it to navigate society, to play our roles as students, professionals, parents, or friends. The persona helps us adapt and communicate. It is a bridge between the inner self and the outer world. But the danger arises when we confuse the mask for the face beneath it, when we begin to believe that the role we play is all that we are. From childhood, we learn to create these masks. We adapt to expectations, shaping ourselves to gain approval, recognition, and belonging. Perhaps you learn to be the good child, the achiever, the caretaker, or the strong one who never falters. These roles are useful. They help you fit into family and society. But as time passes, they can become prisons. When the persona dominates, the authentic self retreats. You start living not from your inner truth, but from the script society handed you. This is why many people succeed outwardly, but feel inwardly hollow. They have perfected the mask. The polished executive, the admired artist, the dependable friend. But beneath it lies a self they no longer recognize. The persona meant to serve them has consumed them. Jung warned that such identification with the mask is dangerous because it cuts us off from our deeper psyche. The unconscious, ignored for too long, will eventually make itself known through restlessness, dissatisfaction, or even breakdowns. Imagine an actor who never leaves the stage, who forgets that the role is only temporary. At first, the performance may bring applause, but eventually the actor loses themselves in the part. Life becomes unbearable because they are no longer free to be who they are beyond the role. The same is true for us. The more we cling to the persona, the more distant we become from our own soul. Yet, rejecting the persona entirely is not the solution. Jung did not suggest we abandon it. We need roles. Society would collapse if we all walked around without them. The key is balance. The persona must remain a tool, not an identity. It should be something we wear consciously, like clothing, putting it on when needed but never mistaking it for our skin. To succeed without losing yourself, you must ask, who am I beneath the mask? Do my actions align with my true values, or am I only performing for approval? Can I remove the mask when I am alone, or have I forgotten what lies beneath it? Real success comes when your outer role harmonizes with your inner truth. When the persona serves, rather than enslaves, you are free to move in the world without losing yourself to it. The applause may fade, but your authenticity remains. And in that authenticity lies the kind of success that endures. Integrate the shadow. This is perhaps one of Carl Jung's most profound insights into the human psyche, and one that feels deeply uncomfortable for many of us. The shadow, as Jung described it, is the collection of everything we deny, repress, or reject about ourselves. It is the anger we hide behind politeness, the envy we bury beneath forced kindness, the fears we disguise with confidence. The shadow is not only darkness, but all that we refuse to acknowledge, and yet, paradoxically, it is in the shadow that much of our power and wholeness resides. Most of us spend our lives trying to banish the shadow. We put on smiles when we feel like crying. We suppress our insecurities. We pretend to be stronger, happier, or purer than we really are. Society encourages this performance. It tells us to show only our acceptable sides and hide everything that seems messy or vulnerable. But what is hidden does not disappear. What is repressed in the unconscious returns in disguised forms, in sudden bursts of anger, in jealousy, in destructive habits, in the quiet ache of emptiness. By refusing to face the shadow, we give it power over us. Jung taught that true growth comes not from suppressing the shadow, but from integrating it. This does not mean acting out every dark impulse, nor does it mean indulging in negativity. It means acknowledging these hidden aspects as part of yourself, rather than pretending they do not exist. To integrate the shadow is to say, yes, I carry anger, yes, I feel envy, yes, I fear, and yet these do not define me. They are part of me, and I can work with them. When you accept your shadow, you begin to reclaim the energy you once wasted in denial. The anger you repress might hold the key to your sense of justice. The envy you feel may reveal desires you have ignored. The fears you suppress may point toward the growth you need most. In this way, the shadow is not your enemy, but your teacher. By listening to it, you gain insight into the wholeness of who you are. Integrating the shadow also makes you more compassionate. When you see your own hidden flaws, you stop projecting them so harshly onto others. Instead of judging people for qualities you cannot bear in yourself, you begin to recognize that everyone carries a shadow. This humility creates deeper relationships and a more authentic way of being in the world. Without shadow work, success often comes at the cost of integrity. Outwardly, you may appear successful, but inwardly, the ignored shadow festers, eventually breaking through in crises, addictions, or emptiness. To succeed without losing yourself, you must accept that you are not only light, but also darkness. Wholeness comes not by choosing one over the other, but by embracing both. Carl Jung wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This is the essence of integrating the shadow." True strength does not lie in perfection, but in honesty, and once you accept the shadow as part of yourself, you stop being its prisoner, you become whole, and that wholeness is the ground of real success. Success without meaning is failure. This may sound paradoxical in a culture that worships achievement, wealth, and recognition. Yet Carl Jung understood that the outer appearance of success often conceals an inner emptiness. A person may accumulate riches, climb social hierarchies, or gain widespread admiration. But if all of this is pursued without a deeper sense of meaning, the result is not fulfillment. It is despair disguised by applause. Modern life conditions us to chase markers of success defined by others. From childhood, we are taught what making it looks like: the high-paying job, the perfect family image, the admired lifestyle. And many people, through discipline and determination, manage to attain these things. But after the initial satisfaction fades, many feel restless. The victories seem hollow. Why? Because meaning cannot be borrowed from society. It must come from within. Jung believed that human beings are not driven merely by survival or pleasure, but by a deeper urge for meaning. Without meaning, life feels fragmented, no matter how comfortable or impressive it appears. This is why you often see people at the height of worldly success experiencing profound crises. They have achieved everything they were told to seek, yet something essential remains unmet. They may ask themselves, is this all there is? Have I spent my life climbing the wrong mountain? True success is inseparable from meaning because it requires alignment with the soul. Meaning arises when what you do reflects who you are. When your actions are not simply about proving yourself to the world, but about expressing the truth of your being. For Jung, this meant living in harmony with the process of individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming the person you are uniquely meant to be. This does not mean that wealth, recognition, or professional accomplishment are inherently empty. They can be deeply satisfying when they are expressions of authenticity. But when they are pursued as substitutes for inner truth, they become chains rather than blessings. For example, someone may devote their life to building a career only to realize that they sacrificed relationships, creativity, or their inner peace along the way. They succeeded, but at the cost of their soul. That is not success, it is failure in disguise. The pursuit of meaning often requires us to pause and reflect. Why am I chasing this? Does it truly matter to me, or am I seeking validation? These questions are uncomfortable, but they prevent us from falling into the trap of living by someone else's definition of success. They turn our focus from achievement alone to alignment. Alignment between the outer life we create and the inner life we inhabit. In this way, success and meaning must walk hand in hand. If achievement is the body, meaning is the soul. Without meaning, success is lifeless. But when meaning infuses success, every accomplishment feels alive, purposeful, and connected to something greater. Carl Jung suggested that the ultimate failure is not to fall short of society's standards, but to betray one's own soul. The true measure of success is not how high you climb in the eyes of others, but how deeply you live in alignment with the truth of who you are. Anything less is success only in appearance, and failure in essence. Individuation as the path. For Carl Jung, this was not just a psychological concept, but the very essence of what it means to live fully. Individuation is the lifelong process of becoming whole, integrating all parts of the self, both conscious and unconscious, until you stand as a complete and unique individual. Unlike conventional success, which is measured by comparison, how much you earn, how far you rise, how well you fit society's mold, individuation is measured only by one thing: how faithfully you become yourself. Most of us begin life shaped heavily by external forces. Family, culture, and society give us roles to play and expectations to meet. We wear these roles like clothing, often without realizing we have put them on. As children, this adaptation is necessary. It keeps us safe, accepted, and connected. But as we grow older, clinging too tightly to these borrowed identities leaves us feeling alienated from our own inner truth. We may succeed by society's standards, yet fail to feel alive inside. Individuation calls us back to ourselves, asking us to peel away the layers of conditioning and discover the soul beneath. This path is not easy. Individuation requires confronting the shadow, acknowledging the mask of the persona, and integrating forgotten aspects of ourselves. It asks us to face our wounds, our contradictions, and the parts of us we would rather hide. But it also reveals our deepest strengths and potentials, gifts we cannot access when we are trapped in roles designed by others. Jung saw individuation as a sacred journey, not a destination. It unfolds slowly, through listening to dreams, following inner symbols, and paying attention to the quiet stirrings of the psyche that point us toward authenticity. In practical life, individuation means aligning your choices with who you really are. It means asking not just, what will make me successful, but also, what will make me whole? You may discover that the career path you pursued out of obligation does not reflect your true calling, or that the relationships you built on appearances lack genuine connection. Individuation pushes you to reorganize your life so that it reflects your inner values, not merely external approval. Paradoxically, individuation may sometimes require you to step away from conventional success. You may have to risk disappointing others, changing directions, or leaving behind identities that no longer serve you. This can feel like failure on the outside, but it is a victory for the soul. And in the long run, it often leads to a deeper form of success, one that is not about fitting in, but about standing out as your authentic self. Jung believed that individuation is not only a personal task, but also a contribution to the world. When you live authentically, you bring something into existence that has never existed before, the unique expression of your being. No one else can offer this. In becoming whole, you enrich not only your own life, but also the collective, because the world benefits most from individuals who are truly themselves. Thus, individuation is the ultimate form of success. It is not about trophies, titles, or applause. It is about living a life that reflects your inner truth so completely that you no longer need to force or pretend. You are whole, and in that wholeness, you succeed not only in life, but in being fully, unmistakably alive. Listen to the unconscious. For Carl Jung, the unconscious was not just a hidden storage of forgotten memories or suppressed desires, as Freud often emphasized. Instead, Jung saw it as a living, dynamic source of wisdom, a deeper intelligence within us that communicates through dreams, symbols, and intuition. To ignore it is to live only half a life, guided solely by rational thought and external pressures. To listen to it is to open the door to authentic living, where success is measured not just by what we achieve, but by how deeply we align with our inner being. In modern culture, we tend to overvalue the conscious mind, the part of us that plans, analyzes, and executes. Rationality has its place, of course, but when it dominates, we often end up disconnected from our inner depths. We may make decisions that look logical on paper, but feel empty in the heart. The unconscious, by contrast, reveals to us the truths we cannot articulate in words, the subtle stirrings of desire, the hidden fears, the unrecognized gifts, and the longings that point us toward meaning. Dreams are one of the primary ways the unconscious speaks. Jung devoted much of his life to interpreting dreams, not as random nonsense, but as symbolic messages. A dream of being lost in a forest might reflect a real, life feeling of uncertainty. A recurring image of water might symbolize the depths of emotion waiting to be acknowledged. By paying attention to such images, we gain insight into the parts of ourselves we ignore during the day. Jung believed that dreams are compensatory. They balance our waking consciousness by showing us what we overlook. If we are too rigid, a dream may reveal our flexibility. If we are too proud, a dream may humble us. Symbols and archetypes also play a central role. Jung found that across cultures, the human psyche expresses itself in universal images. The hero, the shadow, the wise old man, the nurturing mother. These archetypes appear in myths, stories, and personal fantasies, guiding us toward deeper truth. When you encounter a symbol that resonates deeply, whether in art, literature, or your own imagination, it may be your unconscious pointing you towards something vital in your personal growth. Listening to the unconscious also means trusting intuition. Intuition is often dismissed as irrational or unreliable, yet Jung saw it as a valid way of knowing. It is the quiet sense that something is right or wrong, the sudden insight that emerges without logical explanation. Too often, people override intuition in favor of external approval or rational calculation, only to regret it later. To live authentically, you must learn to honor that inner voice, even if it defies the expectations of others. By engaging with dreams, symbols, and intuition, you invite the unconscious into dialogue. This does not mean giving up rational thought, but integrating it with the deeper wisdom of the psyche. Jung believed that this dialogue is essential for individuation, the process of becoming whole. Without the unconscious, life becomes one-dimensional, driven by surface-level goals. With it, life becomes rich, layered, and meaningful. To succeed without losing yourself, you must make space for the unconscious. Keep a dream journal, reflect on symbols that appear in your life, listen to the quiet pull of intuition. These are not distractions, they are guides. They remind you that your life is not only about outward achievement, but also about inward alignment. And when the unconscious is heard, success is no longer just external. It becomes a reflection of your deepest truth. Balance outer life and inner life. Carl Jung insisted that a truly successful life is not built by focusing exclusively on one or the other, but by learning to live in harmony with both. Too much emphasis on the outer world, on achievement, recognition, wealth, or reputation, leads to a life that looks full but feels empty. Too much retreat into the inner world, dreams, fantasies, and solitude, can disconnect us from reality and from the responsibilities that anchor us. Real success, Jung argued, is sustainable only when these two dimensions serve and enrich one another. The outer life is necessary. We live in a world of work, family, and society. We need roles, commitments, and goals. Achievements are not meaningless. They provide stability, growth, and contribution. They allow us to create, build, and serve. But when the outer life becomes our only concern, we risk losing contact with the soul. We become actors performing for applause, constantly measuring ourselves against standards set by others. In this state, success is fragile. It depends on approval, competition, and circumstances beyond our control. The inner life, by contrast, connects us to the deeper self. It is the realm of reflection, meaning, dreams, and spiritual growth. It nourishes authenticity and allows us to live in alignment with who we are. But an inner life disconnected from the outer world can become stagnant, self-absorbed, or even escapist. A person who only contemplates but never acts remains untested, and their insights never find expression in the world. Balance means allowing the outer and inner to inform each other. Your work in the world should reflect your inner values, not betray them. Your inner exploration should inspire action and creativity, not isolate you from life. When the two are aligned, success becomes both outwardly visible and inwardly satisfying. For example, pursuing a career that reflects your authentic calling bridges the inner desire for meaning with the outer need for livelihood. Cultivating relationships that nourish your soul ensures that your social life is not just about appearances, but about genuine connection. This balance also guards against burnout. Many people exhaust themselves chasing external markers of success, only to discover they have neglected their inner world. Others retreat into meditation, art, or philosophy, yet struggle to translate their inner insights into a practical life. Jung believed that wholeness requires weaving these threads together. The soul longs to be expressed, and the world needs that expression. Practically, this balance can be cultivated by creating rhythms between action and reflection. Work hard, but make time for silence. Engage with others, but also listen inwardly. Celebrate achievements, but ask whether they reflect your true self. By honoring both dimensions, you create a success that is not only durable, but deeply fulfilling. In Jung's view, the danger of losing yourself comes when one side dominates. If the outer life rules, you become a mask. If the inner life consumes you, you risk detachment. But when they move in harmony, you embody a life that is both authentic and impactful. This is the kind of success that endures, not because it is measured by wealth or applause, but because it is rooted in wholeness.